I was born in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but I
Oh,
was there for a very short amount of time. I've spent most of my life in Detroit. I mean, from Detroit, Michigan.
okay.
I attended schools, in Detroit, and just a Detroit girl.
Detroit, but yeah. So you Detroit through and through. So I get it.
Mhm.
So let me just start there because I like to start, like I said, from the beginning. Because this little girl from Tuscaloosa, about you said Tuscaloosa,
Alabama.
and then you went, and then you moved, and you were raised in Detroit. And so I want to know what your family life was like. Was it a two-parent household, single parent
Yes.
household, sisters,
Yep.
brothers,
Two
cousins?
parent household. Both my
Mm,
parents are from out from Tuscaloosa.
they're both okay.
Yeah. And so raised west side of Detroit. My dad owned a bar, so he was an entrepreneur, and he also had worked for an insurance company. My mother worked for the Internal Revenue Service for 30 something years. And so,
Oh, really?
yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. And the
Oh,
funny story behind that is she took a friend to take the test and decided to take the test as well for the job. And she was hired and the friend wasn't. And
oh, ooh.
she's been there ever since.
Wow, that is crazy. That sounds like, you know what? That sounds like how it happens sometimes we audition for roles where you bring somebody along and they end up getting the part. You know that? So that's so
Hmm.
weird how that parallels, right? Yeah.
Right.
So all right, that's great. So you grew up now was it like humble beginnings? Did you have like a more privileged upbringing? Or did you have to ration the food out? Did you have bunk beds? Or did you
No,
have pallets on the floor?
I was spoiled. I
You were
had a
spoiled?
Louis Vuitton bag in the fourth
Oh,
grade.
4th grade?
The teacher
Oh,
took it from me
why?
because she
It
thought
was
I
too
had taken
expensive?
it. That I took it from my mom, and like that she didn't know that I had it.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, wow. He's like, "Wait a minute, where you get this bag from?" Oh,
Right.
were you the only
And I
child, Miss
attended
Ayers?
private school, so she really was like, no, you
Were you the
can't
only
take it.
child, Miss Ayers?
No, I have a brother. Well, I had a brother. My brother passed away a few years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. You said a few years
Thank
ago,
you.
you said?
Hmm.
And, was he old? You see he was the older?
I was the oldest.
Okay. And
So,
so what was that like for you? Like were you protected? Because I know my mom was a protector
yes.
of my uncle. She was like the mom because it was an 8-year difference. So
Hmm.
so she was like the mom figure. And then back in the day, an 8-year-old or 10-year-old could go to the park, by
Yes.
themselves. And
Yeah.
so she would have them in the stroller and and really look after him, look after her little brother. And she does it
Yeah.
to this day.
And I did, and it's funny. And then it became a point when he became bigger than me. So by the time he was 12 or
Uh,
13, ma-
right.
and so many people, even to this day, think he's the oldest because he was so protective of me. And then
Right.
he was a big brother. I remember I sent him somewhere to pick up something from me, and I'm like, "My little brother's gonna come and get it for me." And then the lady called me back. She's like, "Ma'am, don't you ever call that man little brother ever again, because he's, you
Yeah,
know,
so
6
surpassed you.
something." Yeah, yeah. She's like, "Wait a minute, that's a grown man." I said, "I'm sorry, but
Mm,
yeah, it was just the two of us, and again, spoiled. We
yeah.
were spoiled.
Yeah,
I can't lie. Now around here, because it's pretty much male dominated, they call me spoiled all the time. So I would not admit that to them.
yeah. I mean,
And
there's a difference though. Let me ask you this, Miss Sayers, before you make that point, because there's a difference between being spoiled and just having the finer things in life. I mean, sometimes not
mhm,
everyone has to be born into the rut of it all, or not everyone has to be born in the ghetto type of environment. Not
mhm,
everyone has to be born, or brought up in a certain way. There's some people that actually were, brought up with the Louis Vuitton bags and have the finer things in life, and just enjoy nice things. They earned it.
mhm.
So is there a difference between being spoiled or just
Well, I say blessed. I don't like the
okay?
word spoiled because one,
Yeah.
two, I was always the type to share. Our house was a house where kids knew they could come and eat, they could come in and, be safe. I remember when my dad passed, it was so many different guys from the neighborhood just telling me so many different stories. Or your father paid for me to play little league, or my dad was big with sports. Graduated from Jackson State University, but he went on a football scholarship. But so he was really big with just helping, the community and stuff. And so it was that as a kid, I kind of hated it because why are all these people here?
Mm.
I didn't want to share my parents. And then,
Oh,
in retrospect, it was people that needed it, So, eh, at that time, I didn't get it.
oh,
But
he was
as I,
territorial. Oh,
yeah, but then as I
yeah.
became an adult, it was different. But yeah, they've always been very kind and very giving and not selfish.
Great.
And they instilled
Okay.
that into us. So
Good.
the same
Yes.
way.
Okay. Yes, I was going to ask you, whether they kept you grounded. So as long as you was able to
Yeah,
not only, enjoy nice things and be able to, you know, enjoy the fruits of your parents' labor, but you were, you still understood the humble realities of certain families, certain
exactly.
people. So you had the best of both
Exactly.
worlds. So that's great. So let me ask you this: growing up, and we're gonna get into it more because this is so key when it comes to childhood and when it comes to um being in the school setting to where they might resent you for
Hmm.
having certain things that they didn't get to have, so I
Hmm.
wonder if that the case with you and your brother where these kids were like, "Oh, you think you all that," or you think you better than me, or that better than I, you know.
Hmm. I received that some, but my main thing, I was younger, I had really long hair. So that was what I got bullied about. I
Oh,
remember
really?
two girls trying to cut my hair. I think they thought I was a punk because I was always reading the book, but they found out.
Oh, they effed around and found out.
They found out, and and after that, I really didn't have any problems, and so maybe that's what I needed, to
Yeah, you
show
did
show that little
exactly.
show that little street side. It was like, oh, she really is from 6 Mile. Like, yeah, let me show you.
Right. You better let them know, Miss Ayers. Shoot.
Hey, sometimes you have to let people know, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was. Though I was a reader, though I loved to read, so I wasn't
Hmm.
a TV person, a television person. I would sit on the front porch with a book. Like that was just kind of what I was known for. And going to private school and not going to school with girls in the neighborhood, they treated me differently. So it wasn't me, it was them because everybody else went to school together. I didn't
Mm.
go to school with them. And
Oh,
so
okay.
with my brother and his friends, so it was always guys at our house. So I had more male friends than I did female friends. Or if a young lady did approach me, it's because a guy was like, you should meet her. Like she's really nice, she's really cool, that whole type of thing. And then that's really where the introduction came. And then when I started selling shoes, opened my shoe store, I think that's when I really started getting a lot of female friends and associates and things. Was more so
Oh,
at that point,
okay.
early
Oh,
20s.
okay. So shoes was a common factor, but we won't go, definitely
Hmm.
gonna dive into that part because I want to know where the shoe lady thing came from. But yeah, so bookmark that because I want to make sure I want to establish a timeline. Always try to be as chronological as possible. I know that we're gonna always go back and forth, so I get it. Don't worry about that. I get it. But I want to make sure that I get the chronological thing, as much as I can. So
Hmm.
but we definitely gonna get into that shoe part. Because of course we'll get together over shoes. I mean, that's of course.
Right.
Of course. I mean, but I'm gonna still keep talking on Miss Ayers, but I gotta plug in my ring light. But I'm still here. I'm just gonna put
Okay.
myself on camera real quick. But what are some of the other things? So you said you enjoy reading, but so what are some of the other things you enjoy doing during your childhood? What's some of the other things you like to do?
Childhood, that was really it. I was a crafter, so I crocheted, I knitted,
Oh, you sound like my
that
mother.
type of thing. But to me, I was excited to read. Like I would read encyclopedias. Like I just
Really? What was the fashion? Where that fascination come from, Miss Ayers?
I have no idea.
Really?
I just I don't know. It's just something about a book. Because if you pick up a book, you can go anywhere. You
You
can
just your
travel
imagination.
anywhere, and with a book, you can see new things. You can learn new things. So and I've always been stimulated by learning, by knowledge, like learning new things, new stuff.
Yeah, because that's very rare for a child, because this you as a child that likes
Hmm.
to learn and likes books. Yeah, that's very rare for
I
a
really
child.
just stopped reading probably in the last 5 to 7 years. and more so my sight and getting old.
Mm.
And I just been busy with productions and stuff. But just recently, I gave my niece my Kindle, and she called me. She's like, "Auntie, you have 4,000 books on your Kindle," and I'm like, "Just pick one to read." Like,
Right? I mean, it's so wow, that's amazing though, 4,000. I think you and my mom is neck and neck when it comes to the reading, and then you said the
mhm,
knitting. And just a quick story about the crocheting part, because my mom used to love to crochet when she was younger, and she
mhm.
told me a story about how she went to the hospital to see my grandmother, visit my grandmother, and she met Billy D. Williams at the hospital because his sister was there, and his sister was like she liked what my mom was crocheting, and she was like, "Oh, Billy, look at this. Look at this is really nice." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that is nice." So yeah, that's how she met Billy T. Williams.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned the crocheting that took me there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's cool though. So that because I think that I think that's where you get your creative juices flowing because you operate on the left side of your brain. You know,
Mhm.
with all that you said, right? All that you enjoy. So
Right.
now growing up in the household, what are some of the memories or some of the things I did together as a family?
We traveled quite a bit. Corporate was a little different then. Like with my dad, when they had trips and things, the company paid for the family to travel.
Nice, nice.
So we traveled a lot with him, like a few times a year, different trips where, most companies now, they're just sending the person and they're just going. Like nobody's sending a wife and kids. So it was a little different, with that. And then going back and forth to Alabama, I just have so many fond memories there. My mother ended up moving, staying in Alabama. So I was just there December. I stayed a month.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I finish up things. I don't know what it is. It's something about when I go there and I'm with her, I get stuff done. So I literally finished 5 scripts that I had started and stopped while I was there. And we just filmed one of them, and then I think the eighth we start filming
Oh,
the
you start
second
okay.
out of the five. Yeah.
All right. So now let me ask you, Mr. Ayers. So now we're gonna go into the meat and potatoes of the elementary and junior high school of it all because like I always tell my guests that we don't always clock into the elementary and junior high school because we don't realize how pivotal those times are in our impressionable lives. So I really am looking forward to hearing the elementary and junior high school experience. I mean, you touched on it real briefly, but I want to dive more into your interactions with the other students, with the Louis Vuitton bag and um and your academics and your interaction with the teachers. Did you were you joining any groups or clubs or like what was that experience like between elementary, junior high school, the self-discovery that you had and you meeting boys or just interacting with the other children? Like just can you give us some of that?
So I didn't attend a traditional junior high school. My school went
What
from
about elementary?
first grade to eighth. So, and that again was a private Catholic school. And my graduating class had 11 people in it. So the classes were really small because they really focused on one, as far as education wise. I was always like on the honor roll, different lists and clubs and things. So I always did really well in school. And oftentimes I didn't feel challenged in school. But
Got
I
you.
think it was because I was so well read. So my senior year of high school, there was no math class for me. So they made like a class, and I just sat with this teacher in a room. And I remember they called it analysis or something like that. So with that, I just, felt a little isolated because you know what, to be in class with
Mhm.
everybody else. But again, with it being private school and we wore uniforms, so we had
Okay.
days where we had like free dress day where you could like wear your own clothes or whatever, but it wasn't
Okay.
the kind of thing where in public school with kids are picked and teased about because we all look the same.
And I
So
like that.
yeah, so that was the end. It was easier to me. You knew what you're gonna wear to school. I didn't have to try to figure out what to wear
Yeah,
when it
yeah.
was gonna wear. Now, senior year of high school, though,
No,
we did not
not
have.
yet. I'm sorry, Miss Ayers, not yet.
Don't go to senior
No, 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 not
year.
yet. 'Cause yeah, we still in junior high. We still,
I
when
don't
you
even
uniform.
remember junior
You don't remember
because
junior
I
high?
didn't really have a junior. Like everybody else went to
Oh,
that school in
okay,
the
kind of
middle.
merge.
Yeah, I didn't have a middle
Oh,
school.
okay.
So we went from um what did I go there? I went there. So I started out in public school. I went to private school 4th grade. So 4th through 8th was the same school. And then I went to high school. And I remember I said it was only 11 people in the class. So I do remember that. Because when I found out how big the public school classes were, I was like, wow, because I didn't know. I didn't have anything to compare it to. So I thought that was normal.
Oh, okay, I got you. So let me ask you this. How would, like, you mentioned that, you didn't feel challenged enough at times with the curriculum. Did you tell anyone? Did you tell any of the teachers or anything, or you just kind of, just went along to get along, for the sake of, the children around you and other students, like, did you mention it?
I probably just went along. I'm 58. I don't remember. I
Well, how am I supposed to know? I'm like,
don't remember. But I was I've always been a vocal kid. So I wasn't the type where I'm not going to speak up. And I was the type to speak up for others. Like,
oh, you were okay.
yeah, like
And, in what
you're
way?
not
Like,
gonna bully anybody
speak
or
up. Okay,
anything
got
like
you.
that. Like I wasn't that. I mean, you couldn't do that around me. We didn't have that.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
noticed though in private school, I didn't see that, but I did see it when I was in public school.
Public school. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, so since you want to get into high school so bad, Miss Ayers, let's get since you want to go there so bad,
I
you
barely
know.
remember that.
Yeah, I know you remember that. Yeah, but thank you for sharing what you were able to recollect. So that's fine enough. 'Cause I get
Mhm.
it. I get where you're coming from there. But I because I asked that for a reason, Miss Ayers. It's not something that I just do out of,
Mhm.
on a whim. There's a reason why, because I understand that, as you advance in age, that you're not gonna remember certain parts of elementary, junior high school, but
No, because
whatever
I
you,
know
yeah,
some people that
yeah,
remember everything. And I look at it.
yeah,
I
yes, and I'm
remember
here.
you had
Yes.
on the green shirt, and I'm like, I own a green shirt. Like I didn't.
I'm like, okay, well, hey, if you say it, then I'll take your word for it,
Right,
you know.
right.
But I asked her for a reason, Miss Ayers, because like I said before, that, a lot of times we, focus and we start at high school, and when it comes to self
Mhm.
discovery and having most certain privileged moments, but we kind of gloss over, the idea, of elementary and junior high school, because we just think, oh, it's rite of passage. It's something that we have to do as a part of life. We have to. That's part of our
Mhm.
educational process, but it's so much more than that.
Mhm.
It's so much more than just the educational journey. It's so much more within, because a lot of times when you're in that space in elementary, junior high school, you don't really have people to confide in, or certain people
Mhm.
that you can really talk to, and you're kind of learning things on your own. You know,
Right.
even people at that age learn. They learn about sex at that time. They
Mhm.
learn how to put on. They know how to put on sanitary products. They learn about
I
the
was just getting
hormones. They
ready to
learn
say
about,
that. I
yeah. So it's
remember
so much
eighth
they learn about that
grade.
before high school.
But now that you mentioned that, 8th grade was a young lady who had started her cycle, and she's in the bathroom crying. And the teacher sent me to
Mm,
check on her because it was taking her so long.
yeah.
And her parents had never had a discussion with her. She
Mhm.
really thought she was in there bleeding to death.
Mm,
And I thought, like, wow, that's crazy. So, like, my mom was kind of like a mom to a lot of my friends. It was things that they didn't discuss or couldn't discuss. I would tell her, and then, she would talk to them. But I just thought it was so odd because why aren't parents having these discussions, with their daughters, especially about their bodies, and the changes of their bodies. So you're exactly right. Not only to have anybody to talk to far as peers, but because it's a very private thing, but some aren't even having these discussions at home. And that's
mhm.
scary.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because we had to. I know I had to acquire certain things on my own. I mean, we knew about it. I mean, I was aware, because I had no choice but to be. You're surrounded by certain things, so you're watching, you're
Mhm.
aware, you're listening. Because I was around grown folks conversations. I was always surrounded by stuff. So I kind of learned certain things just by, an inquiring mind. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I always ask about, that's one of the reasons why I ask about the elementary, junior high school phase. All
Hmm.
right. So, and because it kind of gears us towards transitioning, and it prepares us, or supposed to prepare us for high school. And a lot of times it's not, there's a real preparation for a lot of us. But, so how was your process, when it come to high school? Like, what was your experience like?
It was pretty smooth because my entire graduating class from the eighth grade went to high school with me,
Got it.
and then
Okay,
it
nice.
integrated with some new people. So now we're at maybe 20 something kids a class, which still wasn't a lot compared to other schools. So the private high school near my house was called it's still open, it's called Mumford High School. And I begged my parents, like, I want to go to public school, like with my friends in the neighborhood. And so they finally was like, okay, you can go. Day one, I'm in the school, the kids are cursing. They're cursing at the teachers, people are yelling, a girl just walks
Oh,
up,
wow, really?
slaps another girl. And I remember going home,
Mm.
sitting in my room in tears because I did not want to go back there. Now my school had already started the week before. And so my dad come in my room and was like, how was your first day? And I just started crying. And he's like, yeah, I
Oh.
knew you wouldn't make it. And he tossed my homeroom packet on the bed. He had already registered me in the other school because he knew I couldn't hang in that school. Because one, and I'd like to learn. So we're in class and they're yelling. I can't hear the teacher. They're arguing back and forth. And I was like, yeah,
Mm.
this isn't for me.
Yeah, oh, okay. Wow, okay. So were you having that experience, and so, but aside from that, I mean, okay, okay, two questions, two part. How did you, navigate through that? Because I know you're saying that you was a spokesperson against bullying and violence from the start. So how did you navigate through that? And um, how would you able to excel in spite of that?
Well, I was only there a day.
Oh,
So
oh, oh, oh,
I didn't have to deal with it because he
oh, okay,
knew.
okay.
You're right, but
Wow.
he was already pre-prepared to register me back, in the other school. So I went back, no, to private school. But what I did notice, though, the difference curriculum wise, we were taught things to prepare us to go to college, where the public school prepared people for real life, for
Right,
work.
right.
So they had home economics. They
Yes.
knew how to balance. They were taught.
Job
My
is
friend
it.
was
Mhm.
teaching right. We didn't have a driver's ed in my
Yeah,
school.
I
Like,
didn't have, yeah.
right, we had to go to public
Mm.
school to get it or pay for it. But just balancing a checkbook, scrambling an egg. Because I remember learning, like, you're cooking in school. Like, wow.
Mm.
People were able to go from things that they had in school and pick up a trade. In Detroit, we had an automotive field, so they're learning different things. They could
Yes,
go work
yes.
for Chrysler, Ford, and those type of things. And we didn't have that, so I felt like I was lacking things because of that. So I had this one friend, her name was Lisa, and I would kind of shadow her assignments, her classes. I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, well, what are you learning? Well, give me your book. Let me read your homework, just so that I could kind of introduce myself to the things that
Oh,
I wasn't receiving at my school.
oh, wow. And what was that like for you? Just, to be able to, you have to kind of fill in the blanks somehow. Like,
And I don't think I realized what it was in that moment.
right.
It's
Did
like
you,
as I
right.
became an adult and I'm telling people, or people are saying like, "Oh, I didn't learn this. Oh, I learned that." And then it's a weird thing because it's one of those things. If you have something, you want what you don't have. So when I would talk to my public school friends, they're wanting to go to private school. When I'm talking to my private school friends, they're wanting to go to public school. So it's just different things. But I do feel like with the curriculum that we had where I went, it didn't really prepare us for life if you did not go to college.
Mm. So you had to go. Oh, you felt like you had to go.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah,
Mm.
that because you didn't know anything else. You just,
Yeah, yeah,
like, what would you do? You,
yeah, and that's the thing,
they were
that
graduating with certificates and associate type degrees, were things where they could graduate and go and get a job and
right.
have experience with their graduating. We just had good grades.
Yeah, just like the academia. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay, yes. And that's the thing that's so missing nowadays, Miss Ayers. I mean, I just know that in high school, all we were told was, okay, you go high school straight to college. That was it.
Hmm.
I mean, we had the co-op that no, that what we call the co-op, where 1 week you in school and then you go to work the next week. I mean, I worked part time, during high school. I worked part time for a couple of hours, but we didn't really get into the trade schools or community colleges because that was frowned
Hmm.
upon.
Hmm.
That was frowned upon. It was like, no, you have to go to a real college. They call it a real school. You have to go to a
Right.
real college, get a real education. Like, not everyone is able, and I'm not knocking and if you any type of continuing education you decide to pursue, I will not knock it at all because I got a bachelor's degree. I went to college, so but I just feel like if I could do things all over again, when I told my son is like explore all your other options. If you're able to put your foot in the door and you feel like college is not the lane for you, just go to a trade school and get to right into the nitty gritty or what it is that you really want to do. But